Hello, my friends, and welcome back into the channel. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. Welcome if you're new. I am Jen. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a fun, probably pretty fast video. Quicker than usual one today. It's just something I wanted to share with you guys. I am doing a lot of spring cleaning, as I mentioned the last couple of videos, and today is no exception. I'm not only doing the typical spring cleaning that I do, which is, cleaning the surface of everything and getting everything put away and organized in the studio, in the drawers, sorting beads, getting rid of things I'm not using, all the things. But I'm also going through my jewelry wardrobe. And I thought it'd be fun to share with some of you a couple of the pieces that I am working on. Now, there's actually quite a few. I actually have quite a few. And there's things like, maybe things, there's a little breakage. There might be, a tarnish situation, or maybe just a redesign, just like all those fun things, right? Like here is one example. This one right here, right? This completely broke, and it was a clamshell here, right? And this is one of my favorite double strand bracelets. And the other side of it is just chain, but the clamshell broke, right? And so just there's some things that are some minor repairs and some other things that are more major. And I just thought that I would share just a little bit, and maybe some tips and tricks if you have some jewelry that needs repair, or maybe just tweaking. Maybe you want to redesign it, or maybe like this bracelet here, which is really the reason I wanted to film this, is just a pay it forward moment. If you have a bracelet or even a necklace that has chain on it, in this case, this is two pieces of chain, and it's two different types of chain, and this is what you call ball chain, right? And it's not used very common, but we do use it, right? And it's tricky, right? If it's too big, because we have to cut it, but we have to be careful where we cut it, and then we have to finish it with special findings. In this case, a stainless steel clamshell, right? And the second issue with this bracelet I have is that the cute little heart I have on here, right? It's a large hole, so it's more of like a European bead, a large hole bead, right? It slides the full length, but I don't want it to, because when wearing it, I noticed that it was just maybe a design rush, if you will, maybe when I first put it together quite a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years back. And I just decided, okay, this is a pay it forward moment. Let me show you guys a quick trick, if you're not familiar, what I'm going to do here, and how we're going to remedy the issues on both pieces of the chain without scratching the bracelet, because otherwise it's perfectly darling and beautiful and all kind of nice stainless steel hardware. So there's that. And then this is a necklace that I did not like the wire guardians where they are positioned specifically on this design. I didn't redesign it in terms of the beading and the chain. It's just the wire guardians. So anyway, that's what we're doing. And then we're going to be doing a cool focal drop here, and I thought I would do some fun wire work there. So that's what I'm up to. Now this one right here, this is a pay it forward moment. I'm not going to redo this one today because I think I'm going to grab these beads out of my stash. I have these from last year. I love this color combo. And do a really pretty pair of earrings to match it, because I never made a pair of earrings to match it. This is just one of my favorite palettes. But let me tell you what's going on here, guys. So with this one, what in this case occurred was my clamshell broke. Now, here's a great pay it forward moment, okay, where I did not put that dummy wire I was recently telling you guys about in my crimp here, right, when I crimped this off, nor did I glue it. And I more than likely looks like I used 49 strand bead stringing wire, right? And so it didn't really even need 49 strand, but we can have it for flexibility. But I could have used a 19 or a 7 strand, a tiger tail, anything, really. But the clamshell broke because you can see this was my inside crimp, right? And it's just not, it wasn't tight enough. And I could have also probably glued it or just grabbed that dummy wire. So therefore, the crimp fell off the other part of my chain, right, which goes the whole length and then the double chain like this. So this is a great pay it forward moment to where grab that dummy wire, guys, right? And when using clamshells, and really anytime we're securing our jewelry with our finishing hardware, we really do need to pay very close attention there, right? And also the way we're storing our jewelry. You know, I probably could have stored this a little bit better. He got, you know, a little bit mangled, but always a pay it forward moment, guys. So, you know, I use all the different findings, right, for all my finishings. It just depends on my vibe, what I'm doing. But absolutely, in this particular case, I should have taken a moment to grab the dummy wire or glue inside that clamshell, and it likely would not have broken off the way that it did, because it wasn't, you know, my stringing or crimping that broke, right? It was the clamshell itself, because I didn't use a large enough crimp as well, right? That is where this comes in here, that bottom hole on the bottom of our clamps, right? So I probably should have upped my size as well. So several learning things there, but I will restring that beauty another time. This one is the first one I'm going to do, and what I'm doing here is just a little bit of beading, right? Just a little bit of beading. And I've already done my beading, right? And what I'm doing is now going to change this to that French wire, because the wire guardians, right? This lays so high up that it was just scratching. It's always up near like my collarbone area. And it was just scratching and scratching. And I'm like, okay, I'm over this. This is really irritating me. So unfortunately, right, in this particular case, I had to restring the full necklace portion because, you know, it was crimped off with a wire guardian. But I did not have to disturb this beautiful Venetian box chain that I have. I love it so much. However, I am going to make another modification here. I am not only going to grab a piece of dummy wire to crimp off with that French wire, I am going to also eliminate the jump ring here, right? And so I'm going to be crimping directly to the box chain. Oh, and look what I did, because I removed my bead stoppers to show you guys. Okay, let me get that back on here. Okay, we only have 2 bead situation here. Roly-polies, get you back on there. And now this one, if you can almost probably tell, right? This is a 19 strand, and this is a 0.015 inch, a very thin beading wire, because this is very lightweight. These are pearls, right? Very, very lightweight, and small holes as well, right? So I did not need a 0.018, 0.19, 38, 45 millimeter beading wire. So I did use a much smaller 0.015 inch. Therefore, I'm going to use a piece of dummy wire. And that's just a piece that I also cut from the spool, the same wire, but it's gonna help my crimp be much stronger, right? So that's what's happening there. So let's actually finish this one up first. Before we do, I wanted to do some pretty wire work here. And of course, there's always timestamps in the video, guys. If you feel the need to fast forward, you can do that. Anything in particular that is of interest to you more than others. This is just a real simple, I got lucky. Even though it's a necklace, it's a simple modification because it was such a tiny amount of beading work and removing the wire guardian. So not a whole lot of time that I need to really worry. So that I thought this one might be easy enough to where I could go ahead and get it done in just a few minutes. So that's what we're doing here. So I just cut a piece of 22 gauge wire. And what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I am going to do a really pretty little, like a swirly type situation on the bottom of my wire. So I'm going to go right to the edge here to make my little fun little focal. And I want to wire wrap it right there on the beading wire before I crimp it off. So let's want to make this first. And so I'm going to go right to the edge and roll in a loop. and stop when that's a nice side loop there. And now I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to put those about right there. I can also use my round nose if I wanted to. And I'm going to push this wire up and over. And now I'm going to keep coming back and forth just a few times here. And so I'm going to go about right here and pull this wire back over here. And I think I'm going to kind of come back in now. So I'm going to go about right here. Pull this wire over. And then I'm going to come up again. So I'm going to kind of go in a little bit here. About right there. And I think 3 is all I want. And I will go ahead and kick that wire up first. And I will grab another pair of pliers. So I'll make my thin nose for that. And I want to kind of center that, right? So I'll turn upside down and kind of visualize my center. And about right there. So I think that looks about right. And we'll just kick this up. And so I've got something like that. And then I'm going to kind of push these together. Push these together a little bit. This is 22 gauge. You could do some 18 gauge for this. 20 gauge. Just kind of squeeze those together a little bit. Kind of tap, tap, tap. Work hard on that a little bit. This is tarnish resistant wire I'm using. You could also use your nylon jaw if you needed to work hard on that a bit. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and feed on my gorgeous crystal. I love that so much. So pretty. And I was thinking about putting this clear one on too. Or clear one. The oval one on too. But I'm not sure. But I pulled them both out to see. To see what I was vibing. Let me see what I'm vibing here. Because I was thinking maybe this would pick up a little bit cooler on those shape there. But now that I'm looking at it, I don't know. I think it's too much. I do. I think it needs just the clear crystal. And I feel like it also kind of needs some of those purple rondelles. Those little 4mm down here. Just a little pop of color or another pearl. I think it does. So let me grab some of those real quick. Hashtag modify. We're in repair mode, guys. So I love grabbing stuff from my stash that I haven't worn in a while and discovering why, guys. So this is why. The why is because things are just buried that I'm like, well, that's why I hadn't been pulling for that, because it needs, it needs a little fixing. It needs a little attention, So, sometimes I am guilty. I'll just rip it apart, put the beads back to my stash. And I think it's just because I'm always doing something current. I never take the time to fix, my other things that I love. It just might be some simple jewelry repairs, right? So I like that. I think that's pretty. But I think it does just need one on the bottom. So I'm going to rearrange again. And let's see here. Super cute. I'm digging that. But I think I'm going to do 2. And so there's that. And now I'm going to wire wrap it directly onto my necklace beaded portion. So put my right bend in. We'll come in here with our round nose. Just make a loop that is going to lay directly over those 4mm and stay away from my bead stringing wire, because it's that 0.015 inch, right? So very tiny, thin beading wire. It is strong, but it's thin. And so I really don't need anything touching that. So I think that loop is big enough. And let's see. Let's get this tight. Nope. A little bit of a bigger loop. A little bigger loop than that. Easy. We'll go back in the plier and I'll push it down my cone a little bit here. Make a little bigger of a loop. So it's going to stay on top of those rondelles, right? Open that up. And let's get that on there. Oh yeah, that's much, much better. Okay. So let's get that wrapped on there. Even though I'm going like this, I am going to push it up over those beads when we crimp it off here. So I'm just going to wrap that around. Trim and tuck. Can you guys believe, oh my gosh, the weather. Let's talk about the weather. First of all, let us all send prayers out to everybody in Tornado Alley. I mean, my word, from Texas on up to Michigan, the flooding, the storms, the tornadoes. I was watching up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, massive flash flooding up there. Indiana, I think it was Village something, horrific tornadoes gone through there. Wow. And the hail, holy cow, like that is incredibly insane. I don't know if you guys have seen, I've been watching the live weather feeds and this and that. So I pray for all of you that are in that part of the country. My word, that has just been horrific. And here we're about to have a heat wave, and so probably earthquake weather really is what that is. That's what I say. It's about to be 86, 89. My goodness. It's the middle of March. Like, wow. It's wrong. Cutters. It's crazy. Crazy weather happening all over the country in March. It really is nuts. And so we're about to have extreme heat waves here in Southern California, the Los Angeles region, and really all over, I think out there in the valley. It's just like, wow. And then it's going to go down and be like 65. It's like changing like 10 degrees, 20 degrees in a day. It's just insane. So I've got my crimp, right? And feed that down. And then I'm going to grab my French wire. And that might be too big of a piece. We'll see. It might be. Yeah, a little bit big of a piece. Let me trim that down a little bit. And in this case, what I'm going to do is put that French wire on there. And then I'm going to now crimp this right to my necklace, to the box chain. That just eliminates the weak point of the jump ring, right? And come back around, get that tail through, if I can get it through. I've gotten such a small space to crimp here. And my French wire wants to go in my crimp. Let me get my pliers involved. Okay, let's get you through. And get the French wire out of the way. There we go. Okay. And now I am going to grab my dummy wire, which is right here. I'm going to put that right in the center of my crimp until it touches my bead, and I'll get that all crimped in there. So that's just gonna fill up that space, right? I was showing you guys this last week. Really cool little trick. We'll give that a squeeze and go round and round. And this is gonna be much softer, right, than the wire guardian was. Rubbing on my collarbone area, I'm just saying. Yeah, I was like, oh no, I have to switch this over. I should have done French wire to begin with, but that's okay. We're doing it now. And we'll just flush cut that dummy wire away, right? And I'll do the same exact thing on the other side. We'll flush cut the tail with the dummy wire and crimp it directly to the necklace chain. So we'll get rid of the jump ring. And we'll go over here. Get on a crimp, the French wire. Oh, I have to cut it down and crimp it off. I'm just gonna flush cut that, and my necklace is all repaired. Yay. Love it, love it, love it, love it. This one I thought would be really fun, this bracelet, to share with you guys. And so that wire wrap loop, by the way, see how big that is? And if I need to turn it, it's just wire, I can do so. Right, but it's really not going down the beads to the wire. It's really laying on top of those two rondelles right there. So that is just adorable. Just adorable. So now I feel like that'll be much more comfortable for me. And we have the French wire, and it's just such a seamless finish, right? You can't even almost tell that that French wire is there. It's just nice. Yay, John. You did fix something in the jewelry repair department. Okay, guys, so this is a pay it forward moment I thought would be really fun. If you guys have never worked with ball and chain, or have a larger whole bead where it's sliding, here's the solution, guys, that I came up with that I really cannot believe this is just this simple. I should have done it to begin with. Is I made a bunch of fun, simple loops on head pins with some beautiful beads. So I've got some beautiful little faceted agates in there in a beautiful cloud. It's a pretty purple. Some pretty teardrops, right? And some Persian jade. And I just am going to do, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to group these together, is I'm going to stagger them throughout here, and then therefore they will stop the heart from traveling the full distance of the bracelet. So that's the easy fix on this side. And so I just have a few more to do here on my on my little dangles with the head pins. So let's do that first. And I saved one that is our top jewel teardrops, because this is just really cool. It looks really cool. We'll make sure that loop is nice and close when we feed it on there. But I like keeping the ball in there. The way, the way that looks, I just think is cool. And this is just literally a matter of kind of spreading this out and seeing where do I want things to lay. And I think I'll go and just mirror that maybe. So what I'm going to do is just put my head pin on my bead. I'll make a simple bend. I will cut using my finger as a guide. Trim that about 1/4 inch or so, something like that. And we'll roll in a simple loop. And in this case, I'm not worrying about centering my loops. On this one, it's doing the same thing, right? But I'm going to use my pliers because of that thin area where the bead is drilled, right? I'm going to use my pliers to just kick this wire up and try very, very carefully to not crack my bead. So essentially that's what I have, right? And now I just have to do the same thing, eyeball it, right? To turn in a simple loop. And it's gonna look a little strange, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool looking loop. So I'm just gonna turn that in, but now what I'm doing is I'm making a much bigger loop and I'm going on the other side where that ball is of my bead over here. And my goal is to get that to touch there, right? And once I close that up, I'll be much more intentional, but I can at least use that ball as a little bit of leverage, right? To get that nice and tight. So now we'll just open and close the loops. And we'll start with this little fella. And let's see. So let's just go maybe about here. And I'm just gonna put loops on my simple loops I made. I'm just gonna feed them in between the link, not over the link, as to defeat the purpose, right? Because what I'm trying to do is make sure everything is stationary, not slide up and down. It doesn't work sliding up and down. So I'm gonna close this up well. And then we'll go to the next area. And so just making a cute little charm bracelet on this delicate little chain, but the other side of the chain is that ball chain. And I'll show you what I had to do to cut at a very specific section in order to make this smaller. Because it was this one that was kind of a little bit of a nuance. And so, about here. So I'm just putting on my last angle here, my friends. And this is really interesting. Now, let me know in the comments if you are familiar with working with this ball chain. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is why I don't work with it a lot, because it requires special findings, right? We have to use, it's clamshells or those, I don't have them in front of me, but you know, those little things, they look like, kind of like a oval, and they have a split on them, right? They've been around for decades. So what I have had to decide to do was, you have to cut your chain above one of the balls, right? But with enough room to where it will go inside the clamshell, right? So you can't cut it like right at the edge. You have to leave a little bit of space, actually, right? So it's tricky, you know, it's a tricky one. So what I did was put it around my wrist. Let me pull you out a little bit. I put it around my wrist and saw, where do I need to clasp? I also have some extender chain on here, right? So I saw, where do I need to, think I need to comfortably go? Okay, so if you can see here, I'm not really even worried about the other one. It's this one. This is the one that caused this whole jewelry repair. You know, if I have it where it's cut right now, this is where it's gonna land, right? And that is still really, well, it's not too loose, but it's quite loose. And I'm just thinking, okay, do I need to have it coming up even more? Well, I think so. So in this case, then, if you look directly across from my bracelet here at the hardware, you could see that that ball is going right across from where the clamshell and where this needs to go on, the clamshell needs to attach. right? So there's not enough room. So I can't cut below, it'd be too short. It would probably be too short. But in order to determine that, I can put my finger right there and see. Let me hold like my finger right here to that jump ring, right? And then the clamshell will be right there. And let me look and see. Yeah, that's probably a little bit better. But it's pretty tight. So if I wanted a little bit of play, I could go to here, right? And let's see. That's a little bit of play. Okay, so it's a tricky little chain to work with, but not impossible, because we can do hard things. So here is my clamshell. Let me get you guys back in. So this is one of those that is like it opens sideways, right? And it's just a tiny, tiny little space in here for the ball to go, right? So I think I can get rid of a little bit more of that ball, but what I want to do first is put that clamshell at least one little ball away from this link here, right? And make sure that that's how much is that's like how close it can be, so I can get this close, and we want absolutely nothing above it, right? So I can cut a few more links off here. So I'm going to cut off actually that many. 4. Okay, and the tricky little part is, let's get this in here, and it's just laying right on that clamshell, that last ball, and then we have to try to grab the clamshell. Let's see how many tries this takes me, and get it closed with that ball chain in there. Did I get it? Ooh, I think I got it, you guys. No, it's not quite closed. I see it's still open a smidge right here. There we go. So, there we go. And now I can grab a jump ring and some hardware. We'll do a simple lobster here. And then we'll put this clam on, and then the other bracelet on, the other chain. Let me untwist ya. And so 2 things were accomplished. I got it shorter, which is yay, and I only have the heart going so far. Now, another thing to bear in mind here is this. I wanted to have this chain kind of hanging and dangling down. So I'm going to go, instead of cutting that chain, which I absolutely could have cut that chain, I'm going to just link this, if it'll go through that tiny little 2mm chain I have right at the end, right here, and see if that works. That looks like that works. And on goes the lobster, and we'll close it on up. Sorry, I'm picking up like 4 tools to get to 1 tool. It was at the bottom. And let's get that closed. Oh my gosh. And let's make sure that's good and closed, because these are some tiny findings. And surely I don't need that little scrap. And let's see if that's a whole lot better. I think it is. So that's what that looks like, guys. I'll play out a little bit. So now it's way, way shorter, right? I did not cut this one because it just looks pretty there. I could also do some more dangles. And I have solved the problem of the heart traveling the full length. And it will only travel now to just the dangles I put on either side, those cute little cloud agates. I just love it. It's such a dainty little bracelet. It's almost a fun little everyday bracelet, but now I've embellished it even more. And so the heart only goes there. And I love that ball chain with that little heart. It's just, it's cute. It's like a dainty, cute little, pretty much like an everyday bracelet. And then I've got the extender chain there, which that's even a little bit too loose, so I'm gonna go all the way back. But I just like the way the chain dangles down. On my wrist, I really enjoy that. I think it looks pretty just by itself. And so now that fits me so much better. It's pretty embellishment, and then that only travels just a little bit, that little heart. So yay, I fixed a couple of pieces of jewelry. I hope you guys enjoyed basically nothing. I want to say, I hope you learned something. Well, I mean, I pay it forward moment, but you guys probably been fixing jewelry a long time, huh? And hopefully it was just a moment where maybe you weren't so familiar or just discouraged from even just doing some simple restringing, right? Switching out some of your hardware, and just spending a little time, working on maybe some beautiful things and bring them to the front that you really enjoy wearing, but you haven't taken the time to repair. This one, I even put a new spin on it by adding this fun dangle, doing a little swirly swirl, which I think really lends itself well to that pretty box chain. And we will see you in the next one, my friends. Be blessed.